because I want to give, I know you do as well, Speaker Johnson credit for what he did with that House supplemental. The supplemental, the $106 billion package that was proposed by the President and the Senate Majority Leader, the Democrat-controlled Senate, represents everything that's wrong with Washington. To your point, we're running a $200 billion deficit, and yet we have a supplemental, which again, as you said, means we don't pay for it. We add it on, we tack it on, we borrow more. Let's borrow $106 billion. And because virtually everyone in Congress, I think, certainly all Republicans and most Democrats, want to support one of our true allies on the global stage, one of our, I would submit, 2 or 3 greatest allies, at a minimum, Israel, through the brutal terrorist attack by Hamas. We want to come to the aid of our friend and our genuine ally, Israel, and give them the help that they need. But Israel doesn't have $34 trillion in national debt. Israel is not running a $200 billion deficit. Israel is fiscally solvent. We are not. So even for something so worthy as this cause, we have a responsibility to pay for it if we can, and we can. And so therefore, Speaker Johnson met the moment and said, let's pay for it by taking some of the $80 billion that was allocated for the 87,000 IRS hirings in the Inflation Increase Act last summer. Let's cut $14 billion from there to pay for the $14 billion to Israel, and it passed on a bipartisan basis in this chamber. 12 Democrats voted for it. And honestly, I thought, you know what? We're plowing new ground in the House. We're separating the Israel aid. We're not doing, again, what's represented by what we typically do here in Washington, what's all that's wrong with Washington. We're saying, okay, we're going to hijack or hold hostage our desire to support Israel. We can't give them that $14 billion unless you also give them the $92 billion that has nothing to do with Israel. $60 billion for Ukraine, as you said. Heck, humanitarian support for Hamas. More money for Mayorkas to process illegals in the country more quickly and more deceptively. And other ill-defined disaster humanitarian system. No, we're going to hold hostage $14 billion for Israel with the $92 billion you got to choke down. But I thought when Speaker Johnson and this Republican majority rose to the occasion with the support of 12 Democrats who courageously crossed the aisle and did the right thing, that the Senate would have to take it up. They wouldn't hold up support for Israel on a bipartisan bill just because it was paid for, and just because it was going to cut by $14 billion to $80 billion IRS expansion, and just because it didn't include the $92 billion that didn't have anything to do with Israel. And I know you join me in calling upon the Speaker and calling upon our Republican majority to stand with our Speaker. He needs to know we have his back. We stand with him. We've passed Israel support out of this House. We're requiring it to be paid for because that's the responsible thing for our kids and our grandkids and for the American people. And we're not going to take up any other supplemental that has support for Israel. And every supplemental must be paid for. And I'd like to hear some additional thoughts from